This presentation will be on the elicitation technique of task analysis. I'm Jonathan Roberts, and I am joined by Austin Glenn in this presentation. The purpose of task analysis is to understand the requirements of a system by taking the individual tasks performed by a user and breaking them into their subtasks, and those tasks into their subtasks until the requirements for the system are understood. This quote here by Carl Scheimer and Carlson is one of my favorites. By focusing primarily on the tasks that the users are supposed to accomplish using a system, rather than the functionality of the system, functional requirements are elicited in a natural way and in their right context. In other words, by dissecting a task all the way to its lowest level, someone trying to understand a system will see that the requirements will bubble up and be understood. The most important points to understand about task analysis is that, first of all, it is a hierarchical, top-down approach to gathering requirements for a system. In this approach, we are looking at both the user and the system, not necessarily the UI that a user is clicking around on, but the back-end system and what the back-end system is doing. In the top-down approach, we're breaking tasks into subtasks and those subtasks into subtasks in order to understand the requirements of a system. The main point is we are trying to understand what the user is doing and what the system is doing for a particular task. How do you implement task analysis? Well, task analysis is actually one of the more difficult elicitation techniques to perform. Say, more difficult than the interview or observation. So let's talk about some different points. First of all, the who. You need to identify key stakeholders that have expert knowledge on tasks that are being performed. It is often done with just one stakeholder that has that knowledge, but it could be done with multiple stakeholders at the same time. What? Well, we're looking at the task and how it will be dissected. The what is the most difficult part because it is hard to know at what detail to stop when doing a task analysis. Where? Well, it's best done in person, but like many things, it can be done online. And why do we do it? Well, it can be more systematic in uncovering functional requirements than, say, the interview or the observation. And uncovering the requirements through task analysis can also provide documentation that can be used later on by project managers and other people understanding the task now that it has been documented. And how? Well, there are process steps, so let's get to those. So task analysis starts, as you might imagine, by identifying a single task to analyze. If you have multiple tasks that are to be analyzed, you first want to just pick one and do a complete deep dive into that task. Once you have selected your task, you're then going to break it into its subtasks. The ideal number you're looking for is between 4 to 8. And when you have identified the subtask, you're then going to review it to make sure that it is complete and comprehensive. If anything is lacking, you're then going to take one of those tasks and break it into its subtasks. Once you have completely dissected the task and its subtasks, you then draw it into a diagram. And once you have your diagram, then you produce the written document on the diagram. And now with these two documents in hand, you will go to the person with expertise knowledge of the task and make sure that it is complete and consistent.
Task analysis allows us to discover which tasks our website or app must support and helps us determine the appropriate scope of the content. It can help us refine or redefine the navigation of a site, helping us to have a more efficient path and better meet the needs of the users. It shows us what our users' goals, tasks, and steps are, which gives us a better understanding not only of the system but of the user, and ensures that our design supports the needs of the users. Another side benefit of this is the documentation resulting from this can be reused for later applications. A couple disadvantages of task analysis are that it can be a very time-consuming process, especially if used on complex problems, which can easily lead to being stuck in the details and losing track of the big picture. Another problem is that this is most effectively used on existing solutions, so it's more a refinement tool than a development tool. We were able to perform a task analysis on a student from another class on how they keep track of their due dates, and they have theirs broken into 3 tasks with 3 subtasks. They first go through their Excel spreadsheet on the current due dates that they have. They will then go through their assignments and look for more upcoming due dates, which was broken into 3 subtasks. They first go to the content page of all of their classes and record due dates from that. They will then go through the announcements to make sure that none of that information has been changed. And last, they will go through their emails to look for the same. They then make sure that their Excel spreadsheet is updated with what they found. My sister is an online instructor for BYUI in another department, and I attempted to run a task analysis on her and how she manages due dates for her class. And what we discovered, having run it on a student and an instructor, was that this is not a good solution for our problem. For the students, it's because we do not have a good existing solution, which is something that task analysis really needs to be used effectively. And on the instructor side of things, I discovered that my sister really doesn't have control over the due dates or how assignments are posted. That's something that the course administrator does. And so there's only one person that can control that, and our instructors don't really have any say in how those things are set up in iLearn or Canvas.
Thank you. I hope you've enjoyed this presentation on task analysis.